then, Jason, why don't you talk about your new site you've got co-founded there? Why don't you tell everybody what that's all about?
Sure. So Kim and I, we launched our brand new online metal web scene, AllFather Metal. Um, we've been working for other sites and other zines for many, many, many years, and we thought it was about time that maybe we tried out ourselves, be our own bosses, and see what happens. And we have you lovely gents who are contributing with some awesome content. So thank you for being part of Allfather. We really appreciate it. I love this you scratch my back, I scratch your type
Oh
thing.
yeah,
It's
it's a
Absolutely.
brotherhood, a
it's the
brother and a
brotherhood.
sisterhood. Yeah,
Yeah, the brotherhood and sisterhood of metal. So yeah, we've been up for about maybe just over about 2 months now. Initially, we had a lot of issues with our Facebook page, but we got that resolved, and we're quickly gaining steam. I think we're too shy of 700 followers,
nice.
which
Nice.
is pretty good for only being up a month and a half, 2 months. So yeah, and we've had a lot of great response. So onward and upward.
And where can everybody find you?
You can go to our website at www.allfathermetal.com. You can visit our Facebook page, Allfather Metal, and our Instagram page, Allfather Metal, as well. And we also have a YouTube channel where we post our interviews and other video content, which is Allfather something YouTube. But you can find that on the Facebook.
Awesome. About today, guys. So before we get into the album for Judas Priest, we're going to talk about some news items and what we are spinning now. And Ken, I will start with you.
Sure. So, as everybody knows, the last few days, everyone's reeling over the death of Paul Dianno. Paul is a very great vocalist for Maiden, obviously, known for the first two albums, and he has a great legacy with those two bands. Yeah, you got it right there. Um, Paul's a legend. Paul has a style so unique. It's just really sad that he's passed on at like 66. It's really young to be passing away, but obviously, due to his complications with his health over the last few years, it's unfortunate. There is a couple of good things coming out of it, though. I did hear that there's a documentary that's in the process of being produced to come out in 2025, directed by Wes Orshowski. Now, Wes did the 2010 doc on Lemmy, so this is a doc that he was working on with Paul before his passing. So Paul was aware of the documentary. From my understanding, it's looking to be premiering at a number of film festivals in 2025. So and the documentary is going to cover Paul's entire life. So that should be quite interesting to see. I've seen the Lemmy documentary. I really liked it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. But yeah, man, it's a bummer that he's passed on because he's such a great vocalist.
Yeah.
And like Killers was always my favorite, one of my favorite Maiden albums ever. I absolutely love his style, his punk sort of punk infused style. That a lot of the songs have a raw edge to them. Killers is an absolute title track of a song. The cover art blows me away by Derek Riggs. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that album. I just wrote a review for Horror Metal Sounds. So if you go to our site, you'll be able to see the review, which is somewhat a review about Killers and sort of a semi tribute to Paul as well. But he will be missed. I mean, he will be really missed.
Such a surprise because I thought he was doing well.
Yeah,
It just really came out of nowhere. But I guess you never know with
that's
these things. Yeah.
that's what most people are saying. They're like, "What? He passed away? It's so sudden." But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It
I
was kind
believe,
it
yeah.
was it was kind of odd because probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, like his manager put out a message and just said that he'll no longer be like touring and it was too difficult, like with his wheelchair, and he'll do a few one-off shows, but it kind of felt like they were slowing it down a couple weeks ago. Maybe he was falling ill already.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
maybe.
know over on the Metal Voice, Jimmy Kay, who's a really good friend of Paul's, has been posting a lot of stuff. And I know he interviewed his caregiver there, who kind of took Paul in, and got him the care he needed a few years ago. And he has a book that's coming out as well. I believe, kind of ironically, it was just the first copy was just sent to him the other day. So there'll be kind of, I think it's called Paul's Life in 666 days. So,
Nice.
definitely check that out. And definitely heartbreaking. Definitely heartbreaking. A big loss for the metal community.
You know what's funny, Jimmy? It's very similar to the death of Steve Grimmett, who was
Yes.
a similar. I just for some reason he was and crippled. Of course, he had lost his leg, and he was same thing. It's like he was trying to tour and just suddenly passed away. So it's really bizarre.
Yeah, and another massive voice. I mean, Steve Grimmett and Paul Dianno, did so much for the metal movement in the early days and just kept going. And those Grim Reaper albums, phenomenal. Just like Paul's solo stuff and the first two Maiden albums. I mean, everybody knows where they were when they heard one or two of or those albums for the first time, or seen the cover in a record store back in the 80s. Jason, you brought up during a recent review you did, talking about that, going to the 1980s record store and seeing the album is in there. And that's where, when people saw those Iron Maiden albums, that's exactly what, when I was a kid, I mean, we never heard the stuff prior to picking up the album, taking it home and listening to it. So Grim Reaper, the same thing. But I thought when you put that in your review, that was really poignant and really touching, in the sense that I really missed that. And I know probably Billy and the guys do too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, these youngsters, they don't know what they're missing because they've never experienced it. So I feel sorry for them, because it was an exciting time those days.
Yeah. So, Billy, what have you got for this week?
Yeah, so in terms of news items, so Testament continues on with the reissues, right? So we did the Legacy, they did. They did the Legacy, they did the New Order. So today they announced and gave a bunch of pictures of Practice What You Preach. So it's not coming out for a little while, like January of 2025. So we got a couple months to wait, but it'll be out in CD and CD long box, cassette, and the vinyl. And the vinyl is quite cool. That caught my eye. Because the actual, kind of had the vinyl half pulled out of the record, and the coloring, at least in concept, perfectly flows with the album cover. Now that doesn't always look that way when it comes off the vinyl press, but it does look pretty cool. So I think that's good. And the other thing I didn't know is they also said that they had struck a deal with Nuclear Blast to do the first 6. Record. So this is 3 down. So that means Souls of Black. I mean, that's been reissued a few times, but I think for a lot of people, it's not my favorite record by any. The Ritual, but it's near impossible. Like Ken went with me to a record show to buy it. It was like $175. And everybody were there at the very open and beat me to it. So just to complete the collection, I must have it. So that's pretty cool. But then they'll also will get Low as well. I know Low's been reissued a few times as well recently. Even Nuclear Blast did Low not too long ago.
Are these reissues remasters as well?
So that's the interesting part, right? When they did the first 2 records, you just got the reissue, and then you got the alternate album artwork and the full remaster by Sterling Sound. And so we don't know what this is. It doesn't look like that. They haven't done the advertising that they did for the full remaster. So this may mean you're going to get a whole other set like a month or 2 later, which is mixed feelings for a lot of people. But yeah, at least there's out there. You can pick what version you'll want.
Yeah.
Wicked.
So that's good news. That's kind of cool. Even the cassette looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Those cassettes where the album artwork is printed on the side of the cassette. So those are always nice and interesting. Obituary has all those cassettes floating around as well.
Cool.
in terms of what's spinning, the past week, so I was prepping for a show I attended. What was I? Yeah, yesterday. So spinning on Death.
Nice.
It's
Oh,
time
love
to
that album.
rise from the grave, 2022. So, I mean, for those that don't know, a more modern death metal band from New York. Lots of great death metal out of New York. But yeah, I think they're definitely worth checking out. It's
Yeah.
pretty intense stuff. I mean, it's not intro death metal, I would say. It's pretty intense, but they were great live. So if you get a chance to see them live, I highly recommend it. Although one interesting thing, so they went on as planned, like so they started at 9:40, and then the show was over at 10:20. So
Wow.
the headlining act played 40 minutes. Uh,
Wow.
so I've never seen that before, where a headliner only does 40 minutes. I thought that was a bit odd, but
Was
Yeah,
there a
this
lot
is
of people
famous.
there?
I mean, so it was in a place called the Velvet Underground. It's pretty
Yeah.
small. So it was a decent crowd, I would say. Not full by any means, but pretty good. Like there was another big show last night too, over at the Opera House. And so, I forget who was there. I know Cradle of Filth was one of the bands, and there were a few bands that were playing, but nothing. They weren't my thing, so I went to see On Death.
Nice.
Cool.
So, and then just the last one. This is a favorite of mine from 1989. It's a band called Power Mad.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Absolute
Cool.
Power from 1989. So these guys are from like Minnesota.
Yeah.
Incredibly underrated album. I mean, this thing just got kind of lost in 1989. It's thrash, but it's thrash very much with really good songwriting. So lots of catchy hooks and great choruses, and but also at the same time, the band has great like musicianship that verge slightly technical, and the vocalist actually he shared a lot in common with AK from Flotsam and Jetsam. So not a copy, but there's definitely some strong similarities, and so obviously for me to say that he's a great singer.
Hmm.
I compare him to AK. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Music on Vinyl did a reissue last year, so it's readily you can find this one if you look hard.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked. Jason, do you have any news or anything you're spinning this week?
Um, no news this week other than again the passing of Paul. But as far as spinning, yeah, there's a few things. I've been spinning an album that comes out this coming Friday from Faroese slash Danish band Jotun, who are very
Yeah.
cool. I don't know what you would call them. I would say progressive death metal, maybe,
Cool.
with a little bit of black metal, not too
Nice.
much, with a touch. They've released a few singles from their new album Kinship, which again comes out Friday on Metal Blade Records. And I had listening to that to prepare for an interview I did with Jesper, one of the guitarists. There's a brother, team of brothers, Jesper and I can't remember the other guy's name, but his brother, they're both guitarists of the band. And we did an interview there for AllFather Metal, and that should be coming out tomorrow.
Great.
So awesome album if you guys haven't checked it out, or if you might want to check it out on Friday. Lots of great songs. One of the best vocalists, I think, in metal right now is John from that band. He can do everything. He can do Opeth style low growls. He can do black metal. He has one of the most beautiful clean singing voices I've ever heard that I compare to Oral Dane in some parts.
Wow.
Just a gorgeous singer. So yeah, super excited about that album. Definitely going to be my album of the one of my albums of the year. And apart
Great.
from that, I've been going back and a bit of nostalgia for some Toxic the past week.
Nice.
So I've been spinning Think This and World Circus and checking out
Yeah.
actually a couple of their newer albums from one from 2022 and 2020 that I didn't even know existed. I was sleeping on those two, and they're pretty good. But yeah, love those guys. Awesome band. I think one of my favorite progressive thrash bands of all time.
Cool.
Cool.
Great band.
Yeah, wicked,
Yeah.
wicked, wicked.
Mhm.
Well, I've got just a couple of brief news items. I saw on, I think it was last week, and I missed it, but Exodus has openly said, now I don't know how true it is or not, but they're apparently going back into the studio in February of 25. So they were supposed to go into the studio in April past, but obviously they've been doing a lot of touring and stuff, and I think they've just pushed it back. I mean, their last album, which was a killer album, Persona Non Grata from 2021. Really, really expecting a really good sort of return to form that album, and can't wait for that. I know you guys will be pretty excited to hear that. The only other news item I have, and I know Billy, you can plug your ears because you're not keen on this band. As I Lay Dying, the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because it just struck me weird. The tour manager quit, I guess, today, and then canceled the whole tour without the band even really knowing. It was really kind of funky. So, it was kind of like, oh, okay. They found out online when he openly quit and posted it on all social media outlets. So kind of interesting there. And they have a new album that comes out, I think, this Friday, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, Friday.
Yeah. So kind of bit of bad timing, and time to hit that. They got to start hitting those want ads and get somebody else.
My guess.
Anyways, what I'm spinning this week, today I finally got well, it's not the newest because there's a newer album that I talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, Warlord album. Billy, you're going to be seeing these guys in Texas, and that's amazing. This one here is Free Spirit Soar, so this would be their newest one at the start of the year, and then they brought out the last one, which had half the album was like a lot of unfinished tracks and stuff that they redid from the original band that had been out in the 80s and 90s and that. But anyways, it's really cool. It took a long time to get here. I think my pre-order, it comes from High Roller Records, and I mean, if you're familiar with that, it's sometimes a little bit hard to get. Like it takes a little while to get stuff. This I did buy on Amazon. It got canceled twice. Like they didn't have it. It got pushed back, but I just stayed resilient, kept it. But it's what I like about High Roller Records is they tend to put their stuff in these really cool sleeves. They give you a poster. It's really, really cool. So it's kind of brings back, again, Jason, I bring up you talking about that the other day in your review. I love physical merchandise. I love CDs. I love albums, but I collect CDs, and I love it when you get these added bonuses. So it's pretty cool. On top of that, I've already got a spot for it in my top 10 of 2024. So I'm telling you that now, just not exactly where, but that's a killer album. And another new release I got was the new Grand Magnus album.
Oh, good band.
Oh man, this Sunraven, amazing band, underrated band, more of a traditional heavy metal band, but really, really a good album. This I would say would probably be in my top 20 or 30, but it's a great release. I can't stop spinning it, and it was released last Friday. So some neat stuff there. People should check it out, and definitely give some of those bands a listen for sure.
So, and Tim, when you order from High Roller, are you ordering from them directly?
Yeah, because whenever I order from High Roller, I don't usually go on the band websites. It's all in German.
Yeah.
So it can be a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
So what I do is like for Warlord, the other one I ordered, I just went through Warlord's kind of through them, but it was through High Roller, and they kind of had it highlighted, very easy to follow. Even though you can switch it to English, sometimes I find you can't. So it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, no, I use High Roller all the time. They're like the best label in the world that I've ever dealt with, the best products. The only thing is I get killed at the border for customs hits. So that was going to be my question. Did you get hit for customs with that?
No, I didn't. On my last one, I did. But the problem is I like to get High Roller stuff from Amazon because I don't have to dick around with the the customs charge, but they absorb it obviously in the price. So, this right now I think it's $31 on Amazon Canadian, plus tax, but it has been as high as $55.
Wow.
So what had happened was my original pre-order for the $31 kept getting like not available, not available, not available. I'm pretty patient. I just let it go through. Then I looked at High Roller directly, but it would cost me about $15 more with the customs fee and the shipping. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait for it. I mean, when you start getting up over $45 for just a new release, I'm still waiting on pulling the trigger on new Flotsam because it's $34 on Amazon, and that's going to be close to 40.
Yeah,
I just can't do it. Love
that's
the
crazy.
album. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Amazon completely canceled the pre-order for me on vinyl, saying Amazon Canada will not stock that record. The new Flotsam record on vinyl. So it's just crazy. Nobody has it.
That's because they sold them all in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. So,
well, the funny thing is, I have a buddy who lives in Texas. He went into a local Target, and it was actually sitting there on vinyl for like $30 in a Target.
Oh wow!
Who would have? And Amazon canceled his order as well in the U.S., but Target had it.
That's crazy.
Go figure.
Yeah.
I know, and it's funny now because I mean they're taking pre-orders for like the new Arch Enemy album that's not out, I think, till February, and there's albums like that are out in March that they're looking at pre-orders already on Amazon. So, I like using, I just ordered 2 albums from Tigers of Pantang directly from Tigers of Pantang, and I tell you what an easy job that is. I'm ordering their new. It's not a new album; it's a reissue they're doing, but I wanted to get it autographed, and I ordered the last album from 2 years ago autographed as well. But it was so cool because the drummer Jeff he'll reach out to you over just, hey Jim, we're getting that ready for you right now. It's so cool. I mean, the drummer's reaching out to you. It's pretty neat. I love that kind of personal, and I don't mind paying more. I think converting it to Canadian was like $38, but I want it for my collection signed.
Well, you're getting it signed. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the bonus, right?
Yeah. Pretty cool guys and a pretty good setup. But anyways,
cool.